Hello everyone, Rurikhan here coming at you with another video, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about Demonicon. Now, I've attended a presentation at Gamescom 2013 about Demonicon, and I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about the game and what it's all about. So Demonicon is a single-player RPG. It is very much a narrative-driven story, so there's only this one main character. There are no class choices, so to speak. However, the one character that you play out is able to perform several roles, and you can either kind of build him out as a jack of all trades, master of none, or you can really specify what you want him built as. Now, the game Demonicon takes place in the Dark Eye universe, it seems kind of a running theme. Several games that I saw at Gamescom were actually around the Dark Eye universe, which was interesting because the Dark Eye universe was actually something that eluded me a little bit before I started seeing all these games. Like, I had heard of it, but I haven't really seen a lot of material on it, so to speak. I've always been more of a Dungeons and Dragons kind of guy myself. So yeah, that was something that I've experienced a little bit at Gamescom 2013. But continuing onwards, so like I said, this is a narrative-driven story, so a lot of the stuff is going to surround the story of the game, despite the fact that the presentation that I was shown, they mostly tried showing us more of gameplay. I guess it's to prevent us from spoiling other people in regards to the story. But the basic idea of the story is that you will basically play this young man, and you will have to kind of deal with situations that involve his family in this war-torn world, because supposedly the world has just suffered like this big war between humans and demons or something like that. And the whole world is like in chaos after the war, and you're kind of like trying to survive throughout the aftershocks of that war. And you will have interactions with both your father and your sister throughout a lot of the game, because supposedly both the main character and his sister will kind of like fate the shape. They will kind of shape the fate of the world to come after, so to speak. Either way, let's get a little bit of details in regards to how the game actually works. So despite the fact that it is a Dark Eye game, it does not follow usual Dark Eye games, because usually Dark Eye games will be like, you know, very strategical, tactical RPGs, that kind of thing, turn-based. That is usually the kind of experience you expect from Dark Eye games, but in this particular title, this is actually a third-person brawler type RPG, hack and slash, and you guys know that I do love hack and slash and all that kinds of stuff as well. So I thought it was, I thought it looked good. I thought it needed a little bit more polish on some of the animations from what I've saw in the presentation, but obviously that was an alpha version, so it could use a little bit more polish in the animations. And the combat, however, was very, very fluid. So that was a good thing. It is a combo-based combat system, so you're going to have to do a lot of combos to actually get as much power as you possibly can out of all of your skills. However, it's not just about hacking face. The character also has this thing, which is a demonic gift, which allows him the use of blood magic, I believe. So how does this work? It's actually an interesting combat system, because it balances out both magic and melee in this really, it's a different system. It's not a system that you see every day for RPGs, let's put it like that. So basically, as you hit monsters, you're basically constantly mana leeching in a way. So that was like, that was weird. Like when you're hitting monsters, you're automatically mana leeching, and then you can use that mana to perform the blood magic that I was talking about, and you have access to a multitude of spells. Some of those spells will actually buff your capabilities as a melee fighter. Other spells will be more traditional spells, like you will shoot out a special ability, something like that. There's also defensive spells like Novas that will actually knock enemies down and that kind of thing. And you have to basically work that into your melee combat to achieve the best results you possibly can. Now, besides the blood magic, there's also some special moves that you can actually do for melee. And those moves even like do a slight slow motion on the camera, which you think, oh my God, that's going to get old really fast. But the thing is, the word slight is the key here. And like I said, the combat is very fluid. So every now and then you'll see a little bit of a slow up just to allow you to appreciate, you know, like you've done a really brutal hit on something. So it gives you, they're trying to aim to give you a little bit of that cinematic feel. Like I said, the key word here is slight. It's not like you go in the full slow motion, like, "Rrrr." No, it's just a slight little stop just to let you appreciate the blow that you just dealt to your enemies. Now, using these special melee attacks consumes another resource that your character has, which is stamina. And stamina just slowly regenerates in between fights and whatnot, and even during the fight itself. So you have to basically combine all of this stuff into this completely hectic combat with every monsters, and you're going to be rewarded for the biggest combos that you can possibly make. Also, they have something that I find interesting. It's not something that I haven't seen before. I believe I've seen this before, but they have something which is you're going to gain different experiences for the way that you fight. So, like for instance, if you rely more on magic, on the blood magic and all that stuff, you're going to receive experience more devoted to your demonic gift. Whereas if you rely more on melee combat, you're going to receive experience directed towards your melee combat, which will help you basically get better at melee combat. So the more you use one or the other, you will become better at the one that you use the most. However, you can't just be like, okay, then I'm going to go all out melee and that's that. No, you can't do that because apparently further on in the game, like on the higher levels of the game, there will actually be enemies that will require you to use magic or like there will be enemies that will be resistant to physical damage. There will be enemies that might be resistant to magic. So you have to kind of balance out. But I'm still not exactly sure how that's going to turn out, because usually me personally, I like to specialize in one skill. So I'm always like thinking, man, I don't know if I like the whole idea of balancing out the magic and stuff. And besides magic, there's also something else, which is there is an alchemy system that allows you to craft poisons to poison your blades. So there might be enemies that are also weaker to poison. So there's another thing that you can balance out. So there you go. Maybe you can, instead of going like all out magic or all out melee, you can go like melee and poisons, or you can go magic and melee, and that will allow you to kind of deal with the different resistances that you will encounter throughout the game. But either way, it does sound interesting. And you guys know me, I'm always ready to play whatever crazy RPGs people throw my way. So I'm obviously interested and I want to check it out. And also because like I said, I'm very curious about this dark eye world that I've only recently came into contact with. As well as they're also touting on their website that the events that take place in Demonicon will actually start. How should I put this? They will start being official lore to the Dark Eye universe. So I'm like, whoa. So I guess that's probably a big deal. So yeah, I saw the game. There's also a lot of choices that you will have to make as you progress throughout the game, like difficult moral choices, and they will usually play more on a gray area, not necessarily, oh, if I do this, I'm going to be a bad guy, or if I do this, I'm going to be a good guy. It's going to be moral choices that your character is going to have to take, and we have to keep in mind that basically your character's objective is to survive. So sometimes your survival is going to be hard on somebody else. That's just the way these things go. They're also going to have different skills that will work kind of like charisma works in Dungeons and Dragons. So if you have a certain skill, which I can't remember the name of that particular skill right now, but if you have certain skills which basically develop your spoken skills of your character, you will be given access to more dialogue trees. And sometimes this will allow you to like bypass certain situations. It will allow you to gain additional insight about like the weaknesses of certain enemies. It will allow you to gain additional insight, like let's say you're chasing down someone and maybe someone knows where they are, but they're not going to talk to you unless you know that specific skill. I think you guys get the idea. That is going to be happening. And depending on the choices that you make, obviously, every single choice that you take throughout the game is going to have consequences. Some of those consequences you will actually experience in game as well. Other of those consequences will actually be presented to you further on in the game in the form of painted boards where they tell you, oh, you've done this and now this thing has happened to all those people that you've left behind and yada yada yada. They say that the main focus of the game is the story itself, which is why they didn't give us a lot of details on the story. There are also several side quests if you wish to partake on those. You can also take multiple quests at once. They actually have a really big codex system that they've implemented into the game, where you can check out a lot of information in regards to the Dark Eye, as well as stuff that you discover as you play through the game. Regardless of all the side quests, they say that the game is going to take you about 25 hours to complete for the main quest itself. Now, one of my biggest concerns of the presentation that I saw was I believe that the character they were playing with on the presentation was a little bit overpowered, because he was pretty much hacking stuff left and right, and there was really no challenge that I could feel throughout the presentation. But of course, there's going to be multiple difficulty levels, and when they're doing these kinds of presentations, they like to be confident, so they don't like to be playing underpowered characters for people. So I guess that's a thing. There's also going to be traps, and there's going to be skills that allow you to detect traps. So there's going to be a lot of stuff that is commonly seen for people that are familiar with Dungeons and Dragons games. There's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to be in that vein. So like skills to detect traps, skills to allow you to access further dialogue trees, that kind of stuff. Because basically, Dark Eye is, I guess, the Dungeons and Dragons of Germany. I believe I've said this a whole bunch of times, but yeah, that's a thing. Either way, I'm definitely interested to checking out how this particular title plays out. How about you guys? Do you know anything that I don't about Demonicon? Are you excited about Demonicon? Do you want me to check out Demonicon? Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.